Hello. What's up, everybody? It's Yoshinator195 coming at you with another old school gaming commentary from Black Ops 6. And in today's video, I want to talk about why I hate the government. I'm kind of mixing it up a little bit in terms of the content on this channel, but essentially, I want to ramble on in a massive rant why I find the government so despicable in terms of their inefficiencies. So if anyone's ever dealt with a local council or even like a federal government state level where you might be thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, why are these politicians so moronic in what they're doing? It doesn't make any sense. I am right there with you, and hopefully I can kind of like debunk what the role of government, at least maybe from like an Australian standpoint, but also something in like the Western world where you see a lot of bizarre politicians and political decisions being made, and you just wonder, like, why does that make any sense? Because it just seems so stupid. And a lot of this comes from my understanding and reading of the book, The Dictator's Handbook, and Thomas Sowell's book, Basic Economics. If you haven't checked out those books, thoroughly recommend it. But essentially, the reason why governments are so inefficient is that the incentives that they have for the employees are completely removed or detached from the outcomes that they try to produce. That sounds very fancy, but what I mean is that, like, in government, you have a lot of employees and a lot of people that are ultimately responsible for doing some decisions, and they don't bear anything in terms of the cost of if that decision that they make fails. They have no skin in the game. And what I mean by that is, if you look at, say, like a private company, private businesses, people that run them, people that work for them, if they aren't good producers, if they don't make a good product, if they don't sell coffee to be as cheap as it could be, they lose business. That affects their bottom line immediately, in the sense that, like, their incentives are directly aligned with how well they are as a worker. But man, you take some goddamn local council worker who's doing some random, I don't know, like what council workers do, but they just say they're tasked with like making sure the gardens are being, looked after, the grass in local parks, essentially. They're responsible for the maintenance of it. This is a very applicable thing because there's a garden park right near me that is always in a state of disarray. It's like brown and just it seems like to be dying, and they only like water it like once a month, and it's so lazy when the workers from the government come out to kind of just maintain it, because it's not their grass, it's not their garden, it's not their park. So sure, they say that they're responsible for it, but again, if no one maintains it, if they don't send people out, are they suddenly going to stop losing money, their business? No. They get taxpayer money regardless. Like, what rain, hail, or sunshine, it doesn't matter if this park is cared for or not. They still collect local council fees, council rates. And that's what I mean, where like the outcome of what they're actually trying to look after, in this case the park, is so detached from the incentive of actually trying to look for it. They don't care. They're still going to get paid regardless. And I think a lot of government employees are like that, where they just go to work and I guess they think they're doing something beneficial for the community, but a lot of them have this like attitude, or at least their actions show that they have this attitude where they don't really care for it, because ultimately they're still getting money for their work. And if something goes wrong, like if they don't care for that park and they don't send people to water it, they don't get fired. Nothing happens. There is like no consequence. And that is, I think, my biggest grievance with it. And it kind of goes into the book-based economics, where they say there's like this lack of a feedback mechanism directly for government, where you know, they don't really see something, you know, happen instantaneously, like, oh, like we're losing customers, or, you know, something's going on. Like the numbers for this week, sales-wise, are you know, they're not being reflected very well. That's instant feedback for a company, so they can then make changes and try to make the customer do better. Whereas here, it's like the only feedback that they get is like if someone complains, or like the park's not being maintained. But how often does that happen even? Like how willing is someone to put in a local council complaint? It doesn't, it's so like, it's almost like a waste of time for someone to do that, particularly because they know that the energy and to do so is just like not going to be rewarded with the same back. Like they just might be like, oh yeah, we'll send someone back, you know, eventually to look at that park. Thanks for letting us know. That's it. But you can't just like not pay council rates. Like that's the more direct feedback that would actually make them pay attention. They're like, holy crap, like this person, we're losing all our taxpayer dollars because we haven't looked at the park. We better do something, because then that's the only time we're going to get money for it. So I think trying to understand that, like, government benefits, and I'll do a part 2 of this, like what they do with the taxpayer dollars is one of the biggest grievances for me, simply because the services that they're responsible for, it's like they have no real reason to provide those services, because they're very happy just being paid and receiving the money, but they don't necessarily have any consequences or any incentives to actually do something when it comes to that money. So I want to know from you if you have any experiences, you know, dealing with government, or if you've actually worked in government and been there where you're like, man, like, I'm just clocking in and out, you know. What am I going to do? Like, I can't, you know, people complaining about the goddamn park again. All right, I'll just send an email and chase up if I can find a cleaner to do that, or a gardener, you know. But I'm not going to like bend over backwards. I'm not going to get fired if I don't do my job. Like, have you seen the inefficiency from that standpoint? And if you are frustrated as well, let me know in the comments below. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a part 2 for this on why I hate government later on. All right, peace.